You see, my daughter is 13. She tells me that when she grows up, she wants to be like mama. She says she wants to be bold, brave, smart, and phenomenal. It's quite heartwarming if you ask me. She says she likes how I remind her of the strong women that she reads about. The likes of Mama Graça Machel, Mama Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the likes of Winnie Mandela, Idayat Hassan, Bokholo Kinewende, and the Joanna Mamombes of our time, the list goes on. She says that in a lot of ways, those women have held the world by its horns, and that because they were brave, she too wants to be great. A politician that brings about change in our country, I love that for her. You see, as a mother, it gives me pride to see that I've raised a little girl with dreams. That my little girl is not held back by the reality of the number of women in the spaces that she wants to take up, that it doesn't strike her as odd that she has to handpick women that have made it in politics, because while there are women in politics, the numbers are still frighteningly low. And the reasons for that are the source of my quandary. You see, I get conflicted every time a little girl tells me her dream. My dilemma is that I never really know what not to tell her. On one hand, I need her to understand that the world we're living in is now more open to female leadership. I need her to understand that unlike the old ages where women and girls could not see themselves outside kitchens and bedrooms, today a little girl can say, I want to be president, and be exactly that. You see, I want to tell her that gender equality is part of the global priority right now, and that while other people are still married to this restrictive perception of women and their place in society, she has every right to dream, and not just dream, but become. I want to tell her to continue to spread her wings. I want to tell her that the world of politics needs more girls like her who from a very young age have committed their lives to transforming communities, but I am also afraid. I am scared of the number of times she will be called a slut for tabling an opinion that men and women that do not have the guts to engage her on will be intimidated by and resort to slut shaming. I am scared of telling her without frightening her how many women in politics I have seen sexually abused by colleagues, by political party agents that have a point to prove. You see, I am scared of telling her that behind the strength that is the woman that she calls mother, there is a history of pain and hurt that, like her, I went into high school ready to conquer the world, that junior parliament was a place I called home. A place where my voice could be a representation of the voices of those that could not represent themselves, until one day I was raped in a trip where the only thing I prayed for was to meet the president. You see, I'm so scared of telling her that it wasn't just me in that moment or in the years before me, but that for the longest time, young girls in junior parliament have been victims of sexual violation, and that somehow explains why a lot of them just fade into the blue, because suddenly they're not interested in things that once drove them. You see, I am scared of telling her that even though I transitioned away from that incident in junior parliament, the abuse really never stopped. I'm scared of telling her that 20 years into my political career, I am still traumatized, that I have lost the number of times that a man has had to put his hands on my shoulder and on my thighs to tell me that I'm being arrogant by a subject of our debate. You see, I'm scared of telling her how women like us are called sluts because, hey, how could I have made it to the top without a man? I must have slept my way to the top. You see, I am scared of telling her the number of times I've been outnumbered in political spaces where my voice is not heard because the voices of men are preferred. You see, as a mother, I feel responsible for protecting my daughter from the savage world of politics, but how do I do that without invalidating her dreams? How do I set her free when I don't feel free? You see, being a politician, a female politician in Zimbabwe, in Africa and the world over is the steepest mountain that I've had to climb. But I have no doubt that my daughter is strong, resilient, dedicated, that she will rise above these waves of resistance. But it does feel like I'm handing her over to the vultures, that I am volunteering her to a world that is ready to devour her. I am in a quandary. And I could use some help raising this great little woman that is my daughter. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Vembai Zimuto, and today I'm here to talk about one of the issues that is really affecting our society, and that is gender-based violence. Today I want to talk about those vulnerable so vulnerable enough that they are so silenced. They don't even know what to say. They don't know how to say it. They don't know how they can even express themselves because our society is out there judging. Today, I want to stand and say, I am with her. Are you?
Urichiponda moyo. Unondiponda moyo. Ndati urichiponda moyo. Unondiponda moyo. Ndanga ndisingazive kuti rudo runoruma, love bite, kunzwa kuda kuzviuraya, suicide, kunosuwa paside, hanzi love is blind eye, probably needed specs nekuti uri jacaranda, you mesmerize my eyesight. Mumazise vamwe uri dark city, neighborhood isina zesa, asi kwandiri uri nyenyedzi, star bright, hanzi nyenyedzi dzinorova, starstruck, but the moment you put a ring on it, you prove to be that detergent, Mr. Muscle, WWE like Valentine's during lockdown, okandiratidza kuti you can't see me, you brag to your friends about hurting me, our home yato boxing ring, every day in Korintsinsiri Josiah. Pano pakuita sepanogara mombe, tongogara tichidya magreens. Imimiwo munoita semakarora phone, munogara muri pa screen, munoita semunhu wemumovie. You don't even spend time with the kids, cause pese paunoti deti munongoshaika pasini. Your presence yakuita unge birthday present. Once upon a time like a bedtime story, muri mhiripiri, cause every time I try to communicate nemi munovava se peri peri. Mutori DOP, mugallery menu makazara nema mini vakapfeka mamini ana mainini ndati urichiponda moyo. Unondiponda moyo. Kunge album lake chaps, moyo wangu wazara mavanga. These scars are stars. I ain't saying I'm holy cause tese tinotamba na wote note. You were pro cause you mess with the beats of my heartbeat. Our union lacks 5 senses. How can you raise a son forever when you're so confused? Me cry like a baby, then act like a lady. Cause every time I'm praying, you never seem to be changing. Dati urichiponda moyo. Unondiponda moyo. I say no to gender-based violence, and I stand with her.
Hello, my name is Tyra Chikocho, aka Madam Boss. I stand with a woman who stands up for her rights. I am with her.
Daindine mapapiro daiuya ndizorore dainde ko madarirei mabatwa nei manwei zvomouraya taurai namarwei kurembedza upenyu hwevana patambo kunge maiki ekunash nyangwe ikave nhamo haitsvagwe nenzira iyoyo cash ko vana vanovhunduka ka the silent, the frightened, the smoked and choked who are shocked by the inhuman slaughter of their friends and peers. Child kidnappings and murders shockingly define the order of the day. Souls walking in the shadow of death from day one of birth. Some are gone at 1, 3, 7 or 11. Some died yesterday, some might die today, and more even die tomorrow. Their silence doesn't mean they are pleased with the situation, but are wondering in their little hearts who is going to be the next victim. Are they going to be safe in this world where their precious lives are sacrificed for gold? Yes, he was 7. It doesn't matter even if he was 11. The reason for his death scares all the most, feeding him to fatten like a cow waiting for the guillotine. Or the trust, the love we invested in you, yet you killed him. He was 7 when his father struck him with a hoe and heartlessly watched him die. A father destroying his own flesh and blood just because of an argument. What's up with the number 7? I said I don't care, even if he was 11. I can't imagine that day when his anger slaughtered him for ritual purposes. Eyes narrowly dim, a sign of excruciating pain. his heart beating out of his chest in fear and anger, angry on why he put trust in this monster. Perspiration streaming down his neck, lips tightened as they expanded within the tiny, harmless body, struggling to free from the vice of the murderous hands. To free from the knee that pinned him to the ground as he suffocated, fighting to say, I can't breathe. I'm still shocked by a mother who tied and slit the throats of her 4 children before setting them ablaze. Kushaya hanya kuita wewochi kudya zvayakagomera. Vakafira revabereki daka vana kunge vakaumbwa nedhaga. An 18-month-old baby being smashed to the wall nababa all because of a domestic dispute. Manje hazvisi kuzopera zvakadaro. Imbomira izvozvo. The hope these souls have lies in swift delivery of justice. Accepting bail from a child killer is intolerable. Child killers, molesters and kidnappers walking free the streets in the name of the law. Where is the law? For justice delayed is unquestionably justice denied. We are born, we live, we die, but not so untimely painful do we have to kiss life goodbye. Do we have to wait for the rise of the vigilante to fight for these children? An eye for an eye it must be. The punishment must be sevenfold what was done to the 7-old. It's time we get down from the terraces and invade the playing field. With one voice, let's fight against the slaughter of all children. With one voice, let's fight against gender-based violence. Someone has to stand up and make the first step. I have made mine. I stand with her.
Abezempilakahle bathi oyedwa kwabesifazana abathathu uhlukumezekile ngobudlwangudlwangu, njalo oyedwa kwabesifazana abahlanu uhlukumezekile ngezocansi. Thina amadoda okumele yithe sibavikelayo abesifazana, yithe sisuka sibahlukumeze.
Castrated manhoods, living in the sterile dry lands of masculinity. Once I knew a boy whose feet fit into the shoes of manhood, but whose voice never broke out of the strongholds of his woman's chokes. So every day he would squeal his way out of her stronghold, and he peed just a little bit every single time his face got in the way of her slaps. Once I knew a boy who would run to his master's feet. Every time she called him, she would say, "Hey boy, I castrate egos for a living. Hey boy, you better kneel down and beg for forgiveness this very instant before I end what remains of yours. Hey boy," never learned how to become a man. And so he walks his talk with half of his Adam's apple and practices his worth in shallower ponds because his oceans are filled with she-sharks. Once I knew a boy. Does she know that he whimpers himself to sleep every night? Once I knew a boy. Does she know that he dies a little bit every time she bites his head off? Once I knew a boy. Does she know that real men come in Care Bear packages and deserve to be handled with care? Once I knew a boy. No, he is not a man of steel. He is just a boy wearing a Superman costume, hoping to land in her loving arms every time he flies into her direction. No, he does not need to be taught a lesson because last time I checked, fists were not qualified to educate. No, he does not deserve to be beaten down like that because he's just a boy whose manhood she castrated. Once I knew a boy.